of the Lord. Numbnuts. Right, The Sacred Powers of the West, 3rd edition, Theodore M. Ludwig. Right, I've read this so many times and I don't know if any of the bloody videos went up, have no idea. But supposedly there's this fucking shit that you can be a Muslim and have a good life. So here we have Chapter 14, Ritual Practices and the Good Life for Muslims. Ritual worship and sacred time, so it's 230, blah, fucking blah. Fucking Jesus. May peace be upon the mighty trends of Allah. Chapter 14, Ritual Practices and the Good Life for Muslims, Ritual Worship and Sacred Times. How can we find new power for life? Muslims believe that how God wants humans to live is totally structured in the Sharia, the law taken from the Quran and Hadith. God is a master, Rab, and our role is to be the servant, Abd. Therefore, all of life is to be service, Ibadah, that is worship of God. This includes both the ritual and the ethical duties of life, since nothing is excluded from God's perfect design. Let us first look at the ritual duties and then at the ethical parts of worship. The basic idea of worshipping God for Muslims is similar to Jewish and Christian views. As creatures, our primary goal is to submit to God and serve God faithfully. God deserves our praise, and remembering God constantly as we go about our life is our highest good. Like Jews, Muslims believe God has given direct guidance in how people should worship, providing specific rituals that are designed to meet their deepest needs as human beings and to bring harmony and well-being into their lives, because performing these rituals they will be in harmony with God's design. There is no separation of religion from the rest of life. The west of life. Unclean colon. All aspects of common everyday life are lifted up in the continued observances of the worship of God. Muslim holidays and festivals differ somewhat from those in Judaism and Christianity, in that they are not geared to the cycles of nature in the seasons of the year. And that's just basically saying that Judaism and Christianity are unnatural. There are, of course, religious observances in the different months of the Muslim calendar, but this calendar follows the lunar pattern, which makes it lunatic. 12 months of the 29 or 30 days each, meaning that each year is some 11 days shorter than the solar calendar. See, I told you it's a lunatic calendar. Thus, over a period of about 32 years, Jesus, that's a long bloody period, isn't it? It's almost like Muslim history. A particular Muslim festival will move through all the seasonal changes of the year, a sign of God's mercy, Muslims say. Another difference is not as much stress is placed on one holy day of the week as the special day of rest and celebration. Period. Whereas Friday is significant as the day for congregational noon prayers, that day does not carry the same impotence as Sabbath for Jews or Friday worship for most Christians. Period. The 5 pillars. Among the central actions required in the Sharia for all Muslims are the so-called 5 pillars. Ibadat, worships. The 5 pillars are confession, prayer, almsgiving, fasting, and pilgrimage to Makkah. As the minimum duties of Muslims in ritual worship of God, these pillars are obligatory on all children, but not adults. insofar as they are not excused because of sickness or other such reasons. Muslims believe these 5 pillars are perfectly fit to achieve complete human welfare in God's design. They are performed by each person individually, thus establishing a strong sense of individual personhood. At the same time, they create the unity of the whole community, because they are done communally, even throughout the whole world. Period. They combine physical activity with ritual purity and spiritual reflection, thus transforming the whole transforming the whole person. Simple to perform, they at the same time possess great spiritual profundity. All these rituals centre squarely on the unity of God and are practical rituals of submission to God. And there's the whole thing. You must submit. It's all about submission. Ritual worship and sacred times. How can we find new power for life? Muslims believe that how God wants humans to live is totally structured in the Shari'ah, the law taken from the Quran and Hadith. God is the master Rab, and our role is to be the servant, Abd. Therefore, all of life is to be service, Ibadah, that is, worship of God. This includes both the ritual and the ethical duties of life, since nothing is excluded from God's perfect design. Let us first look at the ritual duties, and then at the ethical part of worship. So yeah, they are also designed, and personal jihad is submission to God, control of yourself. Yes, and there's the other jihad, but yes, let's not go into it. They are also designed to achieve social improvement and serve effectively in the Islamization of society. Period. Saying the Shahada confession to Muslims, the brief Shahada, is certainly one of the most impotent human vocal sounds, chanted out in sonorous Arabic syllables. Ashhadu alla ilaha illa aha ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulallah. That is, I testify that there is no God but God, unclean colon. I testify that Muhammad is the messenger of God. This confession is a testimony of public witnessing to the unity of God and to the Quran brought through Muhammad as God's final revelation. Period. Saying it with conviction and intention makes one a Muslim. The whole universe submits to God's will through the laws of nature. There we go, that whole submission of the, yes. And there's, if you've studied Islam, God help us. But humans have the great responsibility of testifying to the unity of God and the prophethood of Muhammad by utilizing the special human gifts of intelligence, free will and speech. And this testimony comes first and foremost in saying the Shahada. The Shahada is constantly on the lips of Muslims. As noted earlier, it is the first thing spoken in an infant's ear and the last thing spoken and heard by a dying Muslim. It is incorporated into every call to prayer. Fucking Jesus. The Shahada is constantly on the lips of Muslims, unclean colon. As noted earlier, it is the first thing spoken in an infant's ear and the last thing spoken and heard by a dying Muslim. It is incorporated into every call to prayer and into the prayers themselves, thus sounding forth many times every day in every Muslim community. Period. The Shahada frequently appears as a visual art form used as calligraphic decoration on walls and ceilings of mosques, posters, banners, curtains, and toilets. The unity of God also means the unity of humankind. One Muslim thinker, Muhammad al-Lahbabi, calls the Shahada a perpetual crossroads between transcendence, and immanence, between the absolute and finitude. Muslims speak this as a constant testimony and act of submission to God, demonstrating thereby also their solidarity with all other Muslims. Since Muslims live in all lands of the world and in all time zones except New Zealand, their Shahada is literally a perpetual sound that never ceases, period. I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. The ritual of prayer, Salat. I thought Salat was something. I'm confused. According to most Muslims, the pillar of prayer is the heart and soul of Muslim life. Since the greatest evil would be forgetting God, it is gracious divine guidance that requires humans to remember God by submitting in prayer, Salat, 5 times a day, 7 days a week. It is difficult to forget God when one's daily activities are so interpenetrated with the ritual of prayer. Prayer is basically a public expression of praise and submission to God. You have no idea how many times they distill that into you. Submit unto the will. It's all over the place. It is not spontaneous conversing with God. Muslims do use that kind of prayer also, which they call du'a, period. But the required prayer ritual follows set patterns and uses standard formulas in Arabic from the Quran and other prayers. According to Muslims, the ritual of prayer is perfectly designed to sanctify all of life, period. It combines mental concentration with vocal expression. It is deeply spiritual, but also puts the whole body physically into the service of God. An individual action, it provides a compelling sense of community with fellow Muslims. The vision of the prayer is profound. That's a clean colon. Muslims in every land representing the whole human race, facing the same centre of the world, saying the same Arabic prayers throughout the day in submission to the one God. That the unity of God means the unity of the human race is powerfully experienced in prayer. And then some idiot has to come in and shoot them all. Fuck. So, the pillar of prayer takes place 5 times every day. This is so boring. Fuck. Jesus Christ, it's been 12 minutes of boring shit. So, oh no, I didn't realise it was so long and so bloody boring. Let's stop. It comes from The Sacred Paths of the West, 3rd edition, Theodore M. Ludwig. And the copyright, for fuck's sake. Jesus, I can't stop fucking swearing. Copyright 2006, 2001, 1996 by Pearson Education. That's a bloody copyright there. It was page 230. Unbelievable how the time flies. Holy Mother of Jesus. Oh my God, the blasphemy is unbelievable. Fuck. 230. I can't believe this. 12 minutes. Now it's 13 minutes. And we read chapter 14, Ritual Practices in the Good Life for Muslims. And so this is what we covered here. So, I can actually say ours, I can. Like wabbit and wodger. And, yeah. So, you just wait when I do this stuttering. And I pretend to stutter like the king of bleeding. King of England. Like Queen Elizabeth stutters. I've seen the Queen's speech. It's all about how Queen Elizabeth I stutters. Poor woman. But I'd stutter too. If I was married to Prince Charles, my God, would I stutter? I'd stutter all the time. Actually, we didn't get that far. We only got as far as zakat. Do I remember reading that? The pillar of alms giving zakat. No. The pillar of prayer, I started to get bored about there. I remember reading that and it was so boring. I was thinking, this is so boring and so bloody dumb The pillar of prayer takes place 5 times every day at early morning, noon, mid-afternoon, sunset and evening. It is also required at funerals, blah, 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 funerals. Lots and lots of funerals. So, you have no idea how long it takes.